Now, let me be clear. Our democracy is under threat. My party's delivering change. We're going to build back better. Today, we're going to be talking about the kind of linguistic tricks that are used by the slimiest snakes of all. And we're all in this together because those slimy snakes that we're going to be talking about are politicians. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, or something in between. They are all the same. They are all using these tricks to manipulate you, to shape your behaviors, to shape your beliefs and your perception of the world. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Have you ever noticed how politicians always seem to say the same things, like build back better?
Build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. We'll fight together.
Let me be clear.
But let me be clear.
Political language isn't random. It's structured. Political language is carefully crafted to influence how we perceive issues, political candidates, and even reality itself. By the end of this video, you'll never hear a political speech the same way again. So let's begin. The first trick that politicians use is the illusion of consensus. The consensus trap is a very powerful tactic. Listen for sentences beginning with things like, we all know that, as Britons or Americans, we believe. It's common sense. When a politician says, we all know, they're not just making a statement, they're creating an illusion. They're creating an illusion of consensus because people, pack animals, they want to feel like they're part of the majority. So by saying we all know, politicians are making it socially uncomfortable for you to disagree. We all know something and you don't agree. What does that say about you? You must be different to us. You must be stupid or a crazy conspiracy theorist. This tactic bypasses your critical thinking. Instead of asking yourself, is this true? You're nudged to accepting what the politician is saying so that you can remain part of the group, because in the group is where a pack animal finds safety.
We'll fight together and we will win together.
The clarity perception. Have you ever noticed how often politicians say, let me be clear? This phrase has become incredibly common. I remember seeing videos of Joe Biden using it constantly. When someone says, let me be clear, paradoxically, especially in the case of Joe Biden, anything that follows is anything but clear.
Let me be clear.
Using this phrase serves multiple purposes. It signals importance. It's like saying, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. It creates an impression of honesty and directness. And it usually precedes a simplified or totally dishonest statement. The irony is that statements following, let me be clear, frequently lack nuance or contain carefully crafted ambiguities. False dichotomy. Again, this is something that narcissistic people often use to manipulate their targets. You're either with us or you're against us. Either we do this or terrible things are going to happen. Either we lock the country down or people are going to die, which again is an ambiguous statement because people always die, but it triggers a fear response in people. Politicians love presenting complex issues as either or choices. This eliminates the middle ground and forces people to choose sides. It's effective because it simplifies complex issues into easily digestible choices, but it's intellectually dishonest. Real policy issues almost always involve nuance, trade-offs, and multiple perspectives. Emotional hijacking. Politics isn't just about facts, it's about feelings. Politicians know that, and they know that an emotional audience is easier to manipulate, less likely to think clearly. So politicians will hijack your emotions and use your emotions against you. Listen to language that triggers fear. Politicians may trigger fear by saying things like, our democracy is under threat.
It's a dagger at the throat of American democracy.
Our way of life is under attack. Anger. They're taking advantage of you. The last government did this. The last government spent all the money. Pride. We're the greatest nation in history. We're the greatest democracy to ever exist.
We are the United States of America, the greatest country on earth.
Hope. We can build a future. My party's delivering change. Emotions. Politicians use emotions to bypass your critical thinking and directly influence your sense of identity and your values. These emotional appeals bypass your critical thinking to connect directly with your sense of identity and your values. The deflection dance. When faced with difficult questions, politicians are masters of deflection. To spot this, watch for politicians pivoting on talking points, answering a different question to the one that was asked, attacking the question or the questioner. You also often hear them attacking individuals, attacking the character of their rivals as opposed to attacking the argument of their rivals. Introducing irrelevant information. This tactic works because our attention is easily redirected and many interviewers don't ask follow-up questions, and I wonder why that is. The selective statistics game, saying things like studies show, the numbers don't lie. Politicians love citing statistics but don't show them in their full context. They'll cherry pick data points that support their position while ignoring anything to the contrary. Remember, a statistic without context is almost meaningless. Always ask, what's being measured? How's it being measured? And what's being left out? And finally, the language of insinuation. Politicians have mastered the art of suggesting something without actually saying it. This gives them plausible deniability while still getting their message across. Listen for dog whistles. Dog whistles are coded language intended for a specific audience. And something else you'll often notice with politicians is that they will accuse their opponents of what they're actually doing. They will say, oh, so-and-so is putting out a dog whistle, when it's actually they that are doing it. Politicians, like narcissists, accuse their opponents of what they're doing. Have you ever noticed this? Let me know in the comments below. Innuendo about opponents. Again, attacking the opponent as opposed to their position. Questions that contain assumptions. When did you stop the problematic behavior? So it's assuming that there was a problematic behavior. So what can you do? How can we defend ourselves against these tactics? Develop your awareness. Simply knowing these tactics exist makes them less effective. Next time you're watching the news, look out for these tactics. Next time you're watching Prime Minister's questions, if you're in the UK, look out for these tactics. Question the assumed consensus. When you hear a politician saying, we all know, ask yourself, do we really? Look for what's missing. Often, what's not mentioned is far more important than what is. Look for what's not being mentioned. Seek diverse sources of information. Expose yourself to different perspectives. I welcome other people's perspectives. I like people challenging me on what I think, what I believe. So many people don't. So many people tie their identity to their political standing, and they become very defensive if anything questions that political standing. So be open to being challenged. Be open to having your perceptions challenged. Focus on policies, not personalities. Don't focus on whether you do or don't like a politician, whether you do or don't like a party. Focus on what their actual policies are, and if you think they will deliver on those policies. Because again, certainly in the UK, as I think everyone of every political persuasion has learned recently, politicians will lie about their policies to get elected and then not follow through. Politicians across the spectrum use these tactics because they work. It's not about any particular political persuasion. They are all doing it. They are all manipulating. It's about power and persuasion. By recognizing these linguistic tricks, you become less likely to fall victim of them, less likely to be manipulated. So look out for them. If you like this video, found it useful, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel.